I'm sharing with you the one thing that cured my frozen shoulder. Not masked the symptoms, cured it. Welcome back to the channel, Roy Ones. I feel amazing. Why? I'm alive, baby, I'm alive. So, when my shoulder first started hurting, which was months ago, originally I thought it was a torn rotator cuff. Until I started doing a lot more research, and then I realized all the symptoms were related to frozen shoulder. Now, if many of you guys don't know what frozen shoulder is when you can't freaking move your arm without pain. You could barely move it. I could not lift my arm up over this without being in instant pain. I did a video earlier too, a couple of months back, where when it first started, I was trying all of these different natural remedies to kind of alleviate it, but I didn't really know what it was. I just knew that my arm was getting stiff. I was having more pain, and it was hard to sleep at night. I would restrict my movements of my arm when I was going to work. It started to become a real problem where I was nervous and worried about what the heck is going on. So I went to the doctor. You know what the doctor told me? The doctor said, hey, he did his tests and everything. He said, I'm going to prescribe you some Motrin, like 800 grams of Motrin or something like that, milligrams of Motrin. And also, it was something else, another pain reliever he also said he would prescribe me. Now, me being who I am, I didn't take it. Right? I said, yeah, okay, thanks, doc. And even though I was in excruciating pain, the pain just, time went on. It seemed like my shoulder was becoming more and more restricted. Even though I tried to stretch it as much as I could, it just didn't work. I was getting more and more pain, having horrible nights of sleeping because I would wake up in pain. Crazy. So, I was doing everything I possibly could. I would do things like, of course, baths with Epsom salt. I would do baths with charcoal because I know about the powers of charcoal actually removing toxins from your body. So I said, well, let me try this. Just dump a whole bunch of charcoal in some water, and hot water, and sit in and bathe. I've rubbed it on my arm. I left it on my arm overnight with patches on it. I even went to a bathhouse in Brooklyn with hot and cold therapy, where the first one I went into was extremely hot, the second one was warm, and the third one was freezing cold. Now that experience was insane, because when I got into that cold water, it sent a shockwave through my body, and I jerked my arm like that. When I jerked my arm like that, the pain shot straight to my brain, and I literally stood still, stopped breathing for felt like eternity, but it probably was a couple of seconds. If I was in deep water, I would have been close to drowning. That's how much pain went through me that I could not move. So you can guess I didn't do that again, because it made no sense. But it did leave me in a state where I was saying to myself, what the heck am I gonna do with this? This is starting to become crazy, because now it's months, over 6 months. 6 months of being in pain. So I'm saying to myself, what is this? I'm walking down the block. I didn't work out in months and months and months. I couldn't even do 3 push-ups. I couldn't do 3 push-ups without insane pain. So I shrank massively. If I don't work out, I shrink massively, to the point where it felt like as I was walking down the street, people would look at me and go, hey, this guy needs a meal. I felt like random people would just walk up to me and say, hey man, I'd like to feed you. That's how thin I became. It was like, oh my God, this is insane. So after all the natural remedies, the creams I put on my arm, I literally just sat there in a meditative space for like a good week asking the same question, what do I do? Like, what is the remedy for this? I'm trying all these natural things. I go to the allopathic doctor. They just want to prescribe me medications and then say worst case scenario, offer you a surgery. And y'all know me on this channel. I ain't down with none of that. I'm not down with surgery like that unless in an extreme emergency. I feel like if your body was meant to be opened up like that all the time, your body would have a zipper on it. And it does not. So don't be opening me up like that. Unless it's an extreme emergency. Allopathic medicine has its purpose. And it's fantastic in certain instances. But not to be opening you up every 5 minutes. So with that being said, as I was meditating, I was sitting there. This is for like a good week of just asking, what do I do? Thank you for the answer, because I know I have the answer. And randomly throughout the day, the practitioner I went to years ago, at least 5 years ago, popped in my head. And I remember she helped with me, helped my other arm that I was having issues with. She helped it. It completely healed. I was like, wow, this lady's amazing. And I forgot about her. So I immediately looked her up to see if she was still in business. And she was in business. And this is what her website looks like. Her website, Pain Massage NYC. The name of it is Apatha Therapy. And her name is Jane. Let's go to her website here. And the title here is NYC Massage and Best Alternative Therapy. This is a little bit about Jane. Let's go to the conditions. And as you can tell, there are a lot of conditions here. And honestly, if I had any of them, I would go to her. Here is frozen shoulder. Now, she explains here what frozen shoulder is, of course. Frozen shoulder cure NYC. And what is frozen shoulder? Most injuries and frozen shoulder pain are cured by one NYC appointment. Now, mine wasn't cured in one appointment, but it was 20% better by the third one. Like I said, I was 98% better. And considering what the allopathic doctors wanted to do, which was give me drugs and surgery, there's no comparison. Let's go to some of these testimonies here. And there are a crap load of testimonies. Crap load. But let me just go to one that's little. I called Jane's office after a sudden shot of shooting pain in my lower back and thigh. Quickly, Jane found time. She's extremely thorough, professional, and effective. And most of all, effective. My experience at Jane was wonderful. Let's go to another one. Let's see if I can find one that says shoulder. Because here we go, shoulder. I have been having a problem with my left shoulder for 9 months, and it was giving me constant pain. I tried traditional massages, blah, blah, blah. Like most of us does. She could treat my shoulder injury in just 1 hour. I've never experienced such miraculous relief in such a short time in my life. She changed my whole world outlook on life. She's a miracle worker. Let me tell y'all something. I mean, the list of mind-boggling situations and people going to her as a last result and miraculous results being made is simply insane. So y'all have her website here. Give her a call if you're struggling with this frozen shoulder and you want some real relief. So now it's the first session, and she's asking me where the area is that's bothering me again. I'm showing, I'm pointing to, I'm rubbing, and she gets this rock, right? I don't even know what the rock is called. She had several of them. She takes this rock and she uses some oil on my arm and she starts to scrape. And she's getting in there real deep, and she says if it's too painful, let her know. Of course, it becomes excruciating, the pain. But I never let her know because I wanted her to get in there so I could be rid of this pain. So I took a little pain now to get rid of it so I won't have pain later. After that session, I felt a little bit better. It wasn't mind-boggling or nothing, but I felt a little bit better. A week passed, I go to another session. The session now, I felt like 10% better, 10-15% better. And she goes in again and gets in and goes crazy with it. And by another week goes past, I go to a third session. Now this session was a little different because I immediately went in there, took off my shirt and everything. Flex, no. I took off my shirt and she said, "Are you ready?" And I said, "Yes, I am. But before we start, I want to ask the angels to guide your hands in the most beneficial way possible." She started laughing, and so did I. But I was serious, right? And so she does her thing. She's in it, scraping and scraping and scraping. 10 minutes in, she puts down the rock and starts to hit this part of my arm like this with her fingertips. I'm saying to myself, wow, that's different. And then she goes to the back of my arm and starts doing the same thing. Now, granted, I'm sitting there like this, right? Hands on something, bent over, and while she's hitting the side of my back here, right here, that shoulder, something comes down. When I say something, I don't even know what it was. Something this long, this thick, like jello, comes down the side of my shoulder in my traps, not my traps, my lats. Comes down in my lats. Now, I'm watching this thing. And I asked her, "What is that?" And as soon as she seen it, she got excited. And she was like, "Oh," and she started scraping it. She was like, "Oh, this is great, this is great." And she started scraping it and scraping it. And I'm like, "What is that?" In a very calm way. She's scraping it. She's like, "This is what you needed to come out. And as long as it was in your shoulder would have been painful and it would have got worse." She's scraping it, and I feel it like jello in my lats. I'm like, this is insane, right? And she's scraping it, and she said it will be gone in a couple of days. What was it? To be honest, I still don't know. I don't know what it was. But I know it looked like a little gremlin or something. Like a little, it was like a jello thing. Now, granted, it's in my skin. And it came down my shoulder into my lats. And I saw it bulging out of my lats. Like some gooey jello. I'm like, what is that? But when she seen it, she got excited and said it was going to be gone in a couple of days, and I needed it to be gone. I needed it to come out, and she worked on it. She said, you're going to start to feel a lot better. So I ain't stress it, to tell you the truth. I just took her word for it, and she was excited, then I became excited. Let me tell you something. After that thing came out, days kept on going past. I kept on getting better and better and better. I'm serious. Better and better and better. To the point I can do this now. I couldn't do that. Right? So, you talking about, I'm like 98% good now. I'm not 100. I'm not that 2%. I still can see that I'm not as flexible as this arm. By 2% though. But compared to what the doctors was offering me, medication and freaking possible surgery at the end, no way. I recommend everybody go check out Jane. That's the reason I'm doing this video, because I said, you know something? There's some people out there that's getting ready to go to surgery, and it may not be necessary. And it's always worth it to give a shot to something else, some kind of remedy of some sort, some kind of ancient tradition. You know what I mean? And give it a shot. Because I gave it a shot, and I'm fantastic.